Welcome to Coffee with Katie. Hi, hello, and welcome. It's 6 p.m. on Wednesday, so it's that time, friends. Let's hang out. And if you can't tell, I have a pink wall behind me, which means I'm in my new studio, which is super exciting and such a relief. But I'll be honest, our house is in total chaos right now. This moving process is not going to happen overnight, it's not going to be quick, but I'm really excited that it's like finally underway and that I'm in this new space. It already feels just so much better, so much nicer. So I will go ahead and give y'all a little bit of like a mini tour of my new studio. It's not really a whole lot to look at, but I'm super inspired by it and really excited. But I jumped the gun. Hi, I'm Katie. I'm Katie Thompson. I am an artist, writer, and advocate. I live outside of Charleston, South Carolina, with my husband and our two children. I am the creator of the Women of Woodworking Project, and I'm also the author of Little Beaver Builds a Bed. And I'm also a Furniture Society board trustee. So, very passionate about design and making and craft and expressing ourselves and sharing those stories through those ways. I'm also a bacterial meningitis and spinal cord injury survivor. I do a lot of advocacy work surrounding those and disability and vaccines. So very passionate about those things. Like I said, we live outside of Charleston in the swamps. I love where we live. And so that's also part of why I stream. I live very remotely. Everything is at least 30 to 40 minutes away from us. So being able to get out and meet people can be a little challenging sometimes. I also have health issues. So that is one thing that doing a live stream just helps open up all kinds of possibilities. I started actually live streaming regularly. I think it was in 2020, and that was with the Women of Woodworking Project. And so ever since then, I've just been able to experience the different benefits that it brings and just how much fun it is. It's something that I really enjoy. So these streams, Coffee with Katie, are Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, and they are on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. I also have a second live stream that I do called Star Wars and Snacks, and that's every other Thursday. So that next stream will be July 24th, that Thursday at 6 p.m. And there we talk about Star Wars and snacks, two of my favorite things. So really enjoying getting back into the live stream, but that's a little bit about me. So project updates that we have going on. As I mentioned, I'm in my new studio and I'm really excited. I got to figure out how I'm going to give you a little tour here. I guess, let's see how we can do this. I have kind of a narrow window here. So try to do both at the same time. This is going to be really interesting. So I've got my phone and my laptop going because Restream just will not connect with Instagram very good. All right, so here we are. That is out my little window. That's the door. So I'm sitting at my desk. And there you go. I've got a little bit of decoration going on. Got some of my Star Wars memorabilia, my notebooks, my purse from the Mouselets, lots of Hera things, really enjoying it. And then over this way, let me turn. I've got like a little altar situation set up. I've got my cards, I've got candles, I've got all kinds of things. So I can just, if I need to take a minute to clear my head or draw a card, I can do that really quickly. I also have this little recliner behind me, so I have a soft place to switch to. I need to get a desk chair, but yeah, that's my tiny little office. So I'm hoping in live streams to come that we'll be able to come up with some decorating ideas and things like that. And yeah, just really glad to be here. Very grateful. It is awesome. It's a good feeling. So all right. And kind of like I said, future plans for it. I'd like to get some curtains for sure. I have some amazing morning light in here that I'm thinking I'm going to go sheer just so I can keep that going. I also need a lot of shelves. This is My dear father-in-law came in today and saw this is like not even like a quarter of my Star Wars collection. And he was like, "Oh, I didn't realize you were such a collector of Star Wars." And I was like, "Yeah, just the past couple years, you know." And I was like, "Oh, like there's still so much left to put out, but that's okay." Um, so yeah, I need to have some shelving so I can put. I have not been a big like collectible person until the last 2 years when I've really gotten into Disney and Star Wars. And I just felt like I'm in a place to be able to enjoy those things too. I feel like for a long time there, you get sucked into the grind of your early 20s of being in college and finding your place and kind of letting go of those childish things that really brought you joy, childish, quote unquote. And you try different things out and kind of find where you land. And I feel really lucky that I've managed to land in a place where I feel comfortable expressing myself and wearing my silly lounge flies and rocking my Star Wars t-shirts. And it's just a good place to be. So to have my space reflect that is really a big deal. Um, I also want to hang some artwork up, and I'm also excited to hang some of my own artwork up. That is one thing I've discovered in this whole process is I have a few pieces of my own that I've really enjoyed and I'm really proud of. So I'll be hanging some of those in here too. And I'm also thinking of doing like a floral light installation sort of thing. I'm so inspired by like the very Milan, Italy, northern Italy vibe. That's also where some of my ancestors are from. That just really colorful, floral. And of course, I gotta have some mood lighting. Gotta have some twinkle lights. I love that is one thing. Being sensitive to light, I have to have a lot of options. I like to have, sometimes I gotta have the big light. Sometimes I gotta have the little light, or gotta have some mood lighting to kind of help things out. But that brings me to the next topic about this office is accessibility. That has been a huge consideration for me when designing this office. This desk, I actually ended up getting the wider version of this desk so that I would have plenty of room to wheel my chairs under here and have room for my dog as well. But that was one reason why I got a desk this large. And right now, I have very minimal things on the ground, and I'm going to try to keep it that way as much as possible. So I have the room to get around safely if I'm walking or using a cane, or if I'm using a chair. I'm not going to like tear up my stuff and tear up the room really bad. So I just feel really lucky that it's like literally right outside my bedroom, so I can just walk in and start my day, start journaling, do whatever it is that I want to do. And it's just a really nice, lovely space so far. I'm just really enjoying it so much. So enough about that. I am rambling on. But it does go to show like the importance of space, and like you can't underestimate like your environment. Those things really do have an impact on you. And especially when we're talking about energy, like I'm someone that is super sensitive to energies, residual energies. I think that's one reason why I love history and I love going into like older places, is because to me those places are already filled with stories and I can kind of feel them. I can kind of feel those emotions and kind of see little bits and pieces of like things that have happened over time, and just you feel this different vibration. And I've even can hear it, and I've heard it on videos of mine before. I've gone into like cemeteries or hallowed spaces, not actually realizing I was recording, and have felt that in that moment, and then gone back, realized I had a recording and can hear that. It's like frequency change. So excuse me, I'm realizing that I forgot to bring my drink back here for my yapping. But yeah, so I don't know. I've had like larger spaces, but I've not had a space that I've been able to fully settle into and feel like is my own. And we are sitting in this energy that's kind of swirling around us. We might as well make it good. And I'm definitely someone growing up struggled with organization, with keeping like dealing with clutter and piles of stuff. And it's a lifelong struggle, but I'm very grateful that I have like been working really hard on that and have made a turn and determined to keep the space like clean and organized. My problem is papers. Like I will write and write and write. I will draw, and then like I don't want to get rid of anything, but I don't really know what to do with it. So I'm devising a folder system and just finally letting go of some stuff, scrapping some stuff. So those are my organizational challenges for my new studio. But and speaking of accessibility, another thing we have going on is Disability Pride Month. It's still July, it's still Disability Pride Month, and there's still a lot going on. I have released my Black Swamp Poetry Zine. I've got copies right here, and I'm really proud of this. All of the poems in here are surrounding. Hi, hey Damaris. All these poems are surrounding like themes of disability and chronic pain and illness and kind of coming of age with that. So I've sold a few copies already. Thank you to everyone who has supported. But I only did a limited run of 24 because I don't know. I had this conversation with another writer colleague the other day. And it's kind of why I started the Women of Woodworking Project. I find I have things to say, I have stories to tell. And especially in the Women of Woodworking Project, there are so many people out there. I'm very inspired by the everyday person. I'm, inspired by just the everyday things we do. I firmly believe that we don't have to do extraordinary things to be extraordinary people. That's like my motto. You don't have to climb mountains to make a difference. You don't have to do these great, grand things to make a real impact on people's lives. So that's it's self-publishing and actually like focusing less on sales, focusing less on how do I make this something that people want, and more of like, this is what I have to say, and this is what I feel. And poetry has, hey, Uncle Den, how you doing? But yeah, it's been a good process. It's been very cathartic, even though this isn't going to be this like huge, big project that I do. It's going to be one of the more memorable ones, I know for sure. So that's how I'm recognizing Disability Pride Month this month. I have the zine out, and I am releasing a video every week, reading a poem or just a thought or something like that from the zine. So if you check out my social media channels, you can see the videos on there. And this week I shared a pretty powerful one, pretty personal. It's called Progression, and a lot of visuals about watching your body and experiencing your body kind of falling apart as you age. And, if you deal with health issues, kind of tying that in there too. But comparing it to a city crumbling on itself. So it was a really, really powerful piece for me to write. Really glad to have it out there. Really glad to have other people kind of experience what it's like to age with a disability. Even if you don't have like a progressive disease, there are still things that change and that you have to adapt with. Like there's nothing that's completely static in my experience of having these disabilities. And, like I said, even though I don't have like one specific thing, like, I know exactly how this is going to progress. I can look in the medical textbooks and this is how it's going to go. I also feel like very grateful that I'm one of the people that am still here to kind of go through these things. And hopefully my experience will help inform others of what it's like to live with long-term effects of bacterial meningitis and spinal cord injuries and the health issues that I have. I feel so grateful to live near a research center teaching hospital that has the technology and procedures to completely change my life. So I have to look at it kind of glass half full like that, but you can't negate that there are hard things. And I mean, that's a fact. And I think a lot of times in society, we want to pretend like we want to focus on the inspiration. We want to focus on the disabled person overcoming this, or, I see, friends in the chat that probably get all kinds of sideways comments. And like, I know most of the time people mean well, but we're so much more than just an inspirational story, and it's not that I don't want to inspire someone. It's that I would rather make an impact. I would rather make an impact in how they view people and how they treat people and how they view disability. there's just so much more to it than people realize. And I'm really grateful that we have Disability Pride Month so we can have conversations like this. Like I said, there are real challenges out there, and we can't put our head in the sand and pretend like they're not happening. But I'm also really grateful that we're at a place that we can have open and honest discussions about this. I've done a little bit of like disability research and, history research. And while I can't say we're in a perfect place right now, we've definitely come such a long way from where we were, but that doesn't mean we have any reason to slow down or to give up now. If anything, it's all the more important that we keep fighting and holding on to everything that we have worked so hard for so far. So I'm really grateful for this month. I think it makes me when you deal with chronic health issues throughout the year, it's nice to have a month where it's like, I am going to focus on this positively. I'm going to focus on this from this perspective, just for this month, just for this week. And so I just remembered I will be at a Disability Pride event next Friday, July 25th at Disability Pride Charleston. I think we're from 5 to 9 p.m. at the Holy City, the Porter Room at Holy City Brewing in Charleston. So come check us out. There will be some great organizations. I'll have some of my books. I'll have some of my poetry zines, maybe a few artwork pieces, but I'll have some information from the American Society for Meningitis Prevention there as well. So some good information for teens and for parents. Like I said, we've had, unfortunately, 2 very powerful losses of very young people just here in South Carolina in a single month this summer from bacterial meningitis. So yes, it's a rare disease, but it doesn't feel rare whenever it's happening to you. And for it to be happening in that kind of frequency is incredibly alarming. And for it to be happening in the same area at the same hospital, I mean, my heart breaks for the pediatric care teams at that facility. I can only imagine what they have gone through on top of all of everything that these families and, of course, these poor children have gone through. So if you're in the Charleston area, come check it out. And I'll have some, like I said, some information for teens and parents on meningitis prevention, but we'll just be out having a good time. It's such a good vibe. Everyone is welcome. They usually have some music and snacks, and there's a lot of different organizations. They have some really good artists that come out too. Small business owners that, have disabilities or are adjacent to those kinds of causes. So it's a really good time. I'm excited. So come see us on July 25th. That brings me to the featured nonprofit for this week. Because it is Disability Pride Month, I am focusing on more disability-focused nonprofits this month. And this week, I really want to highlight the work that ABLE South Carolina, ABLE SC, is doing. You can check them out at able-sc.org. They're a really great nonprofit doing really great work here in South Carolina. As a disabled person in South Carolina, if I recall correctly, 1 in 5 adults in America have a disability. 1 in 4 adults in South Carolina have a disability. So we are higher than the average, and also one of the sickest as far as just physiological. We have a lot of chronic health issues. We have a lot of things that happen in this area, and ABLE SC is just such a great source for not just the disability community, but everyone who supports the disability community as well. It really does take the entire community, and the amount of education and legislative work that they have helped make happen here in South Carolina is just really commendable. So shout out to ABLE SC. They're also on social media too. I would check and search for them there as well. I know they're on a couple of different platforms, but their website is able-sc.org. So what I am enjoying this week I'm enjoying the chaos of moving around my studio. I'm actually pretty wiped out right now. I'm glad that we have this live stream to kind of be like a casual hangout that we can chat. because I am just, oh, if I had to think right now, it would be a real challenge. So enjoy the entertainment while it lasts. But on top of moving and that being most of my focus this week, we've actually started listening to Matilda on audiobook, and I don't know if we're going to finish it this week or not. We still have some more summer reading we need to finish, but I loved the movie Matilda growing up. I love that movie. It came into my life at such an important time. I was moving from Texas to South Carolina and starting completely over. And I just remember watching that movie and watching Matilda and Harriet the Spy. It was like end of 96 and into 97. And I just watched both of those movies over and over again. And I love Mara Wilson, the actress that played Matilda as a child. I love following her on social media now. As an adult, she's like grown into the person that you would hope she would be. Just, she's an awesome voice, uses her platform very well. So I think she's on Blue Sky. I think that's where I'm able to follow her. But reading the book has been enlightening. I don't think I ever read Matilda as a child. So getting to read that alongside my kids is kind of a new, exciting thing. But it's neat. We're reading books that we can watch some movies and enjoy some other media. That makes it a little bit more exciting for them. Plus, it's kind of challenging their reading level a little bit. So that's what we're enjoying reading together this week. I'm still personally reading or listening to Trials of the Jedi, the latest Star Wars High Republic book. And I'm almost about halfway through, and I'm just so blown away. Like I can't get enough time to listen to it. I have to do a lot of driving because I live very remotely if I go anywhere. And I've just absolutely, the story is just so gripping. There's moments that have ebbed and flowed for me. I've said this last week. I am just, Star Wars books have completely reignited my passion for reading and for actually listening to audiobooks. These were some of the first audiobooks that I've listened to. And to get back to on an accessibility note, one of the hardest things for me to deal with my disabilities is dealing with the cognitive issues that come with some of my disabilities. I have always been a lifelong reader. I would read in the car, I'd read on a plane, I'd read in the dark, I'd read upside down. Like I could not get enough reading. And now I really struggle with it. I struggle to read for long periods of time and processing those things. And audiobooks has allowed me to enjoy that again. So it just goes to show that, like, be open to different forms of learning, be open to different forms of engaging with and experiencing media. Yes, listening to an audiobook is just like reading it, because once I'm done with that audiobook, I can still point out X, Y, and Z, and this happened in this chapter, and I like this. How is that any different from reading than the physical aspect of it? I'm still processing and listening to those stories. So I'm just really grateful that I engaged that, and that it's been able to, because that was a hard hit to take, to not be able to read like I wanted to anymore. So audiobooks have given that back to me. I'm really grateful for that. So that's what we've been up to this week. Other things, I'm really excited. I have another kind of collective check-in with some of my spiritual friends this weekend. I'm excited for that. This has been also like a very busy week. Let me go ahead and just open up some of my Chani Astro Guide, Astro Planner here. I love it. I'm obsessed. Clearly obsessed. Oh, yes, of course. No wonder why I am exhausted. Tomorrow, Mercury retrograde begins. So that will tell you. It's no wonder it's a tiring week. But yeah, so right now is kind of all about the journey for me, astrologically, all about the adventure and just kind of hanging on tight. Mercury retrograde right now is going to be a little extra. So why don't we draw a card for this week as we start the Mercury retrograde. The cards that I use, I have Moonology Oracle cards. I absolutely love these. These are my go-to. So if I have your consent, I would like to pull a card for the collective. See what the vibes are going to be for this week. Beginning of Mercury retrograde. It's already here. It's already here because I can't even say it. So that just goes to show. All right, what do we got? It's time to release negativity. Full moon in Scorpio. And my intention or interpretation of this card is exactly as it says. You got to just let it go. And I think this is a really good card to get at this point in time, especially as we begin a Mercury retrograde, because they can be incredibly frustrating. And if we aren't aware of that kind of backwards energy surrounding our communications and how we interact with each other, and it even comes down to technology. You know, our calls may not go through, a payment might not go through, you might, miss your train, something like that. That's kind of the energy of a Mercury retrograde, but it's so important that we don't bottle that up and carry it with us and let it continue to build. So I really like this card for this week. Just release the negativity, roll with the punches. I'm not even going to check the guidebook for this because I know that's the message that we need to receive. So thank you for letting me draw that card for you. Some other things that I've got going on spiritually. As I showed earlier, I have a nice little kind of prayer altar space over here for myself, but I also have my dowsing rods. And I mentioned this last week that I'd like to maybe do some remote sessions. Either, we can do intuitive sessions with the cards, with the dowsing rods, with both. We can just chat, do whatever you want to do. But I'm really interested in expanding my practice. So if this is something that is interest of you and you would like some guidance, please feel free to reach out. I would love to talk with you. So yeah, but that's pretty much what's been going on here. Just keeping patient and letting things go. Hi, Pam. Hi. All my friends have been checking in with me. This is so awesome. That's why I love doing this. But yeah, it's been a real experience and has helped me. Again, another way of trying to keep the glass half full. You have sometimes good things in life can be stressful too. That was actually what finally, I'll admit, pushed me into therapy. I had a day where I had gotten a raise. I had 3 big things happen really good in a day. And I was so overwhelmed. All I could do that night was cry. And it was just okay, clearly I gotta get some help processing these things. So this has been another reminder of that, is not letting my excitement get the best of me, because it has gotten to a point where it's I can't even talk about the house. I can't even talk about it. It's so frustrating. And being someone that works and creates from home, it was definitely a big energy shift to have people come in and go in and just construction work happening on your house. And also, being someone who is at home a lot because of health issues, I am trying to cultivate this place into being really my sanctuary. So not gonna lie, I'm someone who gets disrupted by the UPS man coming unexpectedly. So that's kind of how my vibe is. But I just, again, think it's so important that we have a space that we feel comfortable and we feel safe and that we feel calm in. There's so much chaos happening right now in the world. It's so important that we keep calm. I'm keeping, right now I have a rose and sandalwood candle on my candle burner, and I just keep it going all day. I am meditating in the morning and just really focusing on nourishing myself physically, mentally, in all the aspects. Physically, I also have some really good updates. So I had I think it's every 90 days or so, I have to do a progress report for my physical therapy for insurance, because they went, are you still, disabled enough to need physical therapy for the rest of your life? Yes, I am. But I had an amazing progress report. I feel like my baseline has improved so much. My balance has improved so much. And I think we've gotten to a place where we're able to identify, okay, what is my baseline with my health and my strength?
And then what are just the neurological symptoms and aspects that are not going to change no matter how hard I work at it. What do I need to, completely adapt to? And it's really helped with that. It's been challenging because it can change day to day. It's hard to explain, but I feel like the inflammation on my nervous system and on my spinal cord, like some days are better than others. And some days that makes me present differently. Some days, I can walk around without a cane. Other days, like I struggle to have enough strength to brush my teeth. So it's really variable, but I'm really grateful to the physical therapist. And I think this is just like another great example of like why physical therapy and occupational therapy and all those therapies are so important. And actually going home and doing the exercises, like I don't mean to sit here and like preach, because I'll admit I have the privilege of being able to take the time and energy and financial aspect of taking care of myself. And that's not something, people don't have access to all of those things to make it possible. But the difference that it has made, and it just, to me, just again, like I'm pushing more and more like universal health care. People should be able to have access to the therapies and the medications and all this wonderful science that we have, and have access to. Is just, there's no reason for people to suffer if there are ways that we can actively make their lives better. And one of my PTs actually like brought me to tears this week, because she was just like so proud of me. And she was like, as long as you keep working, we're going to keep bringing you back. And she's like, this is what drives me. Like knowing that you're going to go home and be able to spend more time with your children, because I have been able to do that. I've not been in bed as much. I've been able to do more around the house. I've been able to set up, my office for myself. I still have a long way to go. And like, I'll admit there are some things that might just have to be different and might have to look different from here on out. But that's not always a bad thing. And I feel very fortunate that I'm someone that can find like challenges and boundaries and things like that as like stepping stones, as, okay, here's actually a new direction, or here's a way I know I don't need to go. You have to look at things like that in life, or I feel like I would be stuck in bed all the time if I didn't try to push and find ways to work around things. And I think that's why I have such a positive and like warrior outlook on my health. And I know not everybody resonates with that, especially when it comes to disability and chronic illness, but like I've been fighting since day one. And if I had not fought since day one, I would not be here. So I very much identify again with that kind of warrior aspect when it comes to my health, when it comes to my life. And until I can't fight anymore, I'm going to keep finding a way to make things better. And that's also what inspires me. There's endless possibilities out there that it helps, like, yes, setbacks are really hard, but once you kind of get through the grief of it all and you sit and you look at your new perspective, it's new. There are things that you will see that you haven't seen before. There are new paths, there are new perspectives. There are just, again, new things to experience. And some of those things you would not be able to experience if, something bad haven't happened to you, or if you didn't have this challenge or this setback. And feel very grateful to be at this place in my life. I feel very grateful to have lived long enough to kind of see it come full circle. I think it's been such like a huge lesson in faith, because like I remember the immediacy of wanting my life to get back to normal once I got hurt and sick. And I was 19, I was a lot less patient than I am now. But I just remember that immediacy of wanting my life, wanting to reach my goals, wanting to do the distraction, wanting the accomplishment, wanting to get through the pain and discomfort and the journey. And you can't fast forward through that. And nor should you want to, because you're not going to end up at the end result that you were looking for if you try to bypass any of this process. And yeah, it sucks when you're in it. It sucks when it's really hard and you want to give up and just be done. But once you reach that goal, and 9 times out of 10, you end up going further than you intended anyway. And that's just the most beautiful thing, is that we vastly underestimate ourselves and what we're capable of. And that's why I won't ever give up. That's why I won't give up on me. That's why I won't give up on people, on creativity, on this wonderful life, and everything that it stands for. So, well, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. I really appreciate everyone who has tuned in this week. This is so fun. I'm already looking forward to next week. So, yeah, the next stream will be next week. It'll be next Wednesday, July 23rd at 6 p.m. Eastern. I'll be here on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and I actually have 2 lives next week. Next Thursday, if you're a Star Wars fan, next Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern is Star Wars and Snacks. And it's going to be exciting because I've got some new additions to my collection. Hopefully I'll have finished Trials of the Jedi by then. We'll have lots of stuff to talk about. So if you'd like to follow me further, I'm on all socials at electric_Katie. My personal website is kthompson.com, and you can check out my art and poetry at my studio site at blackswamp.co.co. So thank you all so much for another wonderful chat, and I look forward to seeing you, and just have a great week. Take care.